29%. Then 33 in the next 60 days. From one stock market, not a hedge fund, not a startup, a stock exchange, the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. Tanzania. Most people watching this have never heard of it. Most people managing your money haven't either. And yet, in 2025, Tanzania's all-share index grew 29%. It hit an all-time high. Then, in the first 2 months of 2026, it added another 33% on top. While the US market, the one everyone's watching, averaged about 10. This video is about why that gap exists, who it's for, and how to actually get in.
Most investors, even African ones, put almost everything into the US market. The S&P 500, the same 500 companies, the same pond. And it is a great pond, about 10% a year on average over the last 100 years. No one is disputing that. But when every boat is in the same water, fishing gets harder. Returns compress. Valuations stretch. You're competing with everyone. 3 hours away, there's a lake almost nobody is fishing. That's the DSE. But isn't Africa risky? Say it back to yourself slowly. Then consider this. In 2022, the S&P 500 dropped 20%, one of its worst years in a generation. Meanwhile, multiple African exchanges posted gains. Not because they're magic, because they move on different rhythms, different economies, different drivers. Risk is relative. A market that moves differently from yours isn't risky, it's a hedge. The real risk is having everything in one place. Let's stay on Tanzania for a moment. The DSE All-Share Index, up 29.08% in 2025. The Tanzania Share Index, which tracks domestic companies, climbed 24.70% to an all-time high. Then 2026 started. In the first 60 days alone, the exchange added 33%. Meanwhile, the S&P 500's full-year average? About 10%. 2 months, 33%. Compared to 10% for an entire year. Now, Tanzania isn't alone. This is a pattern across the continent. Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria. These aren't outliers. They're data points in a trend. Africa's capital markets are maturing fast, and the returns are reflecting it. Here's what changed, and this is the part most people miss. For years, foreign investors faced restrictions buying shares on African exchanges, ownership caps, repatriation limits, bureaucratic barriers that made it more trouble than it was worth. Tanzania just removed those restrictions entirely. Foreign ownership of DSE-listed securities is now unrestricted. You, sitting anywhere in the world, can own Tanzanian stocks, legally, directly, without a middleman taking a cut of your returns. The door that used to be cracked is now fully open. One more angle worth understanding. When you hold US stocks, you're holding US dollars. And over long periods, dollars lose purchasing power. That's not speculation, it's history. Tanzania's economy runs on different cycles, different inflation drivers, different monetary policy. When the US Federal Reserve raises rates and hammers US equities, the Tanzanian shilling doesn't automatically follow. This is what institutional investors call non-correlation. Your money is safer when it doesn't all rise and fall together. Now, here's the part no finance textbook will tell you. If you have roots in Tanzania, if you know the brands people trust, the companies people work for, the sectors that are growing, you have an information edge that most investors simply cannot buy. You know which Tanzanian bank has the longest lines, which mobile money platform everyone uses, which construction company is building half the city. A hedge fund manager in New York doesn't know that. You do. In markets, information edge is everything. Yours comes from knowing your home. That's not a soft advantage, that's alpha. All right, Tanzania DSE. Foreign restrictions gone, strong returns, you want in. Here's how. Step 1. Open a CDS account. CDS stands for Central Depository System. It's how shares are held on the DSE. You apply through a licensed broker. The process is straightforward and can be done remotely. Step 2. Choose a licensed broker. Salaam Stock Brokers and Victory Financial Services are among the licensed DSE broker-dealers. Mansa Markets published a full 2026 step-by-step guide specifically for diaspora investors opening CDS accounts from abroad. It's the clearest walkthrough available. Step 3. If you want simpler exposure first, ETFs are your on-ramp. The VanEck Africa ETF, ticker AFK, gives broad African market exposure through any U.S. brokerage account. And Step 4. For those thinking bigger, real assets. Land and real estate in Tanzania are among the most compelling long-term plays on the continent. Higher barrier, often higher reward.
You don't need to move your whole portfolio. Start with 5% or 10%, something you can watch without panic. Open the Mansa Markets Guide. Read it once. Identify one company on the DSE whose business you understand. Maybe a Tanzanian bank, a telecom, a consumer brand. Start there. Then learn. Adjust. Add. Remember that pond? Still a great pond. We're not saying leave. But 3 hours away, there's a lake most people have never fished. Foreign restrictions just lifted. Returns outpacing the major indices. And an exchange that just hit an all-time high. The question isn't whether Tanzania deserves a place in your portfolio. The question is why it took this long to look.